"Get off me, you ugly bastard," I thought, too short of breath to say the words out loud, and unable to move my arms to push him off me. Johnny Beer was pinching my nose with his left hand and holding my chin with his right as he leaned in, open mouth, about to kiss me full on the lips. Then it hit me. He wasn't trying to kiss me at all. He was trying to save my life.
That's the first couple of lines of my book, so I thought I'd just give it a plug before we started. When I was in high school, I had a dream. I knew what my future was going to look like. I had it pretty well planned out. Everybody does. You guys have all got a vision, if you like, about what you're going to do in the future. I want to just take a moment now to just close your eyes for a minute and take yourself to that vision where you see yourself, where you're going. And just have a little bit of a think about that for a minute. Some of you may be going straight into employment. Some of you may be taking a gap year. Some of you may be going back to further studies. I was going to become a high school teacher. I was getting an apprenticeship. I was going to do my trade, go back to uni and do a little bridging course to become a high school manual arts teacher. I'd planned to meet the woman of my dreams while I was in uni, get married, have 2.3 children, a little farm in the country, a dog, all of that, like a bit like the great Australian dream. That was what I dreamed. Nowhere in my dream did it say have a spinal cord injury. And the same with you guys. So let's have a show of hands. Who had a spinal cord injury in their dream? Nobody. We don't think about what it would be like to have a spinal cord injury, although you guys have probably given more thought to most working in the field that you're in. 2 weeks before I had my injury, I got my first cadetship. I moved out of home. I was living in Cloncurry. I went to footy training one day and all the boys were talking about this young guy who'd had a spinal cord injury in a football match on the weekend. And I remember thinking to myself, no, I couldn't cope, I couldn't do that. I'd find a way to top myself. There's no way that I could possibly do that. 2 weeks later, I missed the bus to go to the footy comp that I was supposed to be playing in and went out to this beautiful creek behind me for a swim, dived in, had a C5, 6 on a solid book, fracture on my spine, and I ended up in the bed beside the young bloke that I talked about the fortnight before. I think when you put things in perspective, once you're in the situation, like 2 weeks ago, I was going to top myself. Now it's like, oh crap, I need to figure out what I'm going to do from this point forward. So I spent the first 11 weeks in head traction. I think having lost your vision, and you know, if you can try and relate to that vision that you just thought about, imagine that that's just been taken away completely and completely erased, and that's never going to be a vision. That's what it's like when you have a spinal cord injury. All of a sudden, your future's gone. Your future's been taken away from you. You can't see a future, and it's really it messes with your head. Let alone the physical trauma that you've been through with a spinal cord injury. That's probably not as big as that mental issue where, like, you know, I have no future, I have no worth anymore. So having a spinal cord injury was a big thing. One of the things when I was first in the spinal unit and having that 11 weeks in head traction to think about my situation, no one actually said to me, "You'll never walk again," and that wasn't really the main thing on my mind anyway. I wanted to know if I could still drive a car. all the other young blokes in the spinal unit wanted to know if they could still get an erection or not. I thought, well, maybe if I had a flash car, well then I maybe wouldn't need. But I spent the next 6 months doing my rehabilitation, and one thing that I was told when I was in the spinal unit was that I would never be able to live independently. And being an 18-year-old kid at that stage who'd already left home, I thought, no, that's not acceptable. So I put a lot of effort into my rehabilitation. I love physiotherapy. I could see where physio was going to help me to learn how to transfer in and out of bed and all those sort of physical things, how I could maybe learn to drive a car again, push my wheelchair. Wasn't so fussed on OT. Being a blokey bloke, I couldn't understand why you tip a bunch of marbles into a bowl full of sand or rice in the first place, let alone get the marbles out of it. It just didn't make any sense to me. Until they explained this. I'll get a bit of feedback. Does everyone know what that is? Everyone who's done spinal does? Tenodesis grip? Yeah. And then it started to make sense. Okay, so it wasn't about getting the marbles out of the rice, it was about using this and fine-tuning that. And I think there's a lesson in there for people in communication that I really dislike OT with a passion because I couldn't see a purpose for it. Until that got explained to me, well, if you do that, then you can do up your buttons on your shirt so you can dress yourself. You can empty your own pee bag. Those sort of things you won't be relying on. Once it got related to my independence, the light came on and you go, okay. So I left hospital after 11 months of rehab. I still couldn't live independently. I learnt the theory, and patients going through the spinal unit, they learn the theory from the therapist. I learnt a lot from my physios, my OTs, that I then took home to put in practice. I think the first 3 days I got my mum's car to get parked under the tree down the backyard, and I took 3 days to figure out how I was going to get myself in and get a wheelchair in and then be able to drive it. And driving was my big passion. So I worked really hard to get all the skills that I needed, all those ADLs, the trendy acronym is. I worked really hard to get myself independent, and about 12 months after discharge I moved back to Brisbane, moved into a flat, went back to work, got my first car, went back to partying like all my mates were, drinking heavily, probably 4 nights a week, working full time, started training with Sporting Wheelies 2 nights a week, all that stuff. So I was basically doing what all my mates were doing. I got married. I didn't think that I'd ever be able to get married. So I did get married. I got divorced within 12 months. I got married again. One of the things that I never thought I would be able to have children, and I found that that was a possibility. And I want to play a little game with you, and I think there's a hint on the slide. We're going to play how many kids has Colby's wife had. You throw out a number and I'll say higher, lower. Throw a number.
4.
Higher.
7.
Higher.
12.
Keep going, throw numbers.
5.
Higher.
50.
Higher.
30. 16.
Higher.
20.
Keep going. Keep the 3 digits and we'll start. 100. Higher. Keep going.
252.
252 might be correct. I don't actually know the exact number. It's somewhere between 250 and 300. I've bred goats. I told you the hint was in the slide. So, baby goats are called kids. Yeah. And when they're first born, they cry exactly like a newborn baby. So yeah, I was a farmer for a while. I think there's a lot of things that I've done since then, and age is a real enemy of someone with a spinal cord injury. I started to slow down. I never used a power chair back when I was first out of hospital. I was doing all my own stuff, working full time, doing my own washing, ironing, not ironing, no ironing. But all of those things, and training. I got selected for my country and travelled away overseas to represent my country in wheelchair athletics. I did all that stuff, and then age started to catch up and things started to change. Up until that point, I never had to have carers in my life, so I was fully independent. That was a huge adjustment. A point where, okay, initially I could get my independence and I could do what I wanted. When I started to rely on carers, and I've got two of the most amazing carers at the moment, that was a huge adjustment, having someone come into your home, having someone let you into your home at 6 o'clock in the morning and come and wake you up while your wife's asleep beside you. It takes a little bit of getting used to. So since then I've had some career changes. I currently do this for a living, the public speaking. I'm about to be a best-selling author. The book, just so you know, 15th of March will be the launch, so it'll be 99 cents on Amazon, only for the first week. But there's been, lots of things that I've achieved through my life, and the theme for today's conference, building, promoting pathways to success. I think that I've had a lot of success in my life. I've had a lot of downs as well. But success is something that you create yourself. And over the years, I've developed a set of keys that I call my 8 keys to meaningful and sustainable change. And they're a set of principles that I live by that help me to achieve the future that I want for myself. And I'm going to share a couple of them with you today. And see how we go. The first one is about visualization. It's about goal setting and giving yourself that picture. And I know the theme is about the pathway, but it's actually the destination. The pathway is the how. If you can give yourself a vivid enough picture, and before what I said, close your eyes and picture that future, try and picture it in colour. Try and picture it in motion, so that vision for your future is actually a moving picture. Add sound to it. When you think about the future, think about what it sounds like. Think about what it smells like. You've all had smells when you're going about your daily lives that trigger, or songs, that you hear a song on the radio and makes you think of something straight away. That's what you need to do with your vision for the future. You need to think about the 5 senses, but importantly, you need to think about the 6th sense, and that is the emotion that reaching that goal will give you. It's not about the goal. It's about the emotion that you will feel. You may be set a goal 4 years ago to graduate as an occupational therapist. How does that feel now? Almost graduated. But imagine how you're going to feel in a couple of weeks' time when you do get your graduation and you go through the ceremony and you get all that. That's what you're after. You don't want to spend 4 years at uni. You wanted to be an OT. You wanted to feel what it was like to be an OT. If you get a new car, if your goal is to get a new car, it's not the car parked in your garage. That's not the goal. The goal is how you feel when you get in that car. So when you visualise your future, you use all that other stuff to give you the emotion, to let you feel how you're going to feel when you achieve that goal. And that's what drives you. It's that emotion that triggers your creativity, to find the pathway. That's what it is. It's that emotion, and then that's how your brain works. You will find the pathway. You will find what you need, and the more vivid you can paint that picture. If you don't have a clear picture, you'll go back to your old picture. So if you don't have a clear picture of what you're going to do in your future, you probably will end up back here at uni and go, okay, what can I study now? I'll go back to so that's all I know. Not that there's anything wrong with studying full-time professionally. The second thing that you need to do to create that future, you've got to believe that it's achievable. And whenever I talk about belief, I talk about three people. The first one is Christopher Columbus. Everyone knows who Christopher Columbus was. Christopher Columbus said that the world was round, not flat. Everyone else in the world said, no, if you sail your boat out there, you'll tip off the edge. He believed it was round. So the important part about his belief is it doesn't matter if no one else shares your belief. If you believe that you can achieve your goal, then you will find a way to do it. Everything is possible unless you believe otherwise. Everything. Flying to the moon is possible unless you believe you can't. So, Christopher Columbus did that. He sailed off in his little boat. He didn't fall off the edge. He went around and came back again. And was like, oh, okay, the world's round. Thomas Edison. Everyone's heard of Thomas Edison, guy that made the light bulb. You know how many failed attempts Thomas Edison had at creating a light bulb? It was something like 2,000 attempts. But every time he failed, he had the belief that he could make it. God knows what his resolve must have been like. I don't know about you, but I stuff up making a light bulb 3 times in a row now. Someone else could have done that. I'm leaving that to someone else. It's too hard. But he had that resolve. He had that his one. Aaron Fothering, this young guy's name is. Aaron lives in the States. He decided that he wasn't just going to sit in a wheelchair. He wanted to do a backflip in his wheelchair. And everyone said, no, you can't backflip a wheelchair, it's impossible. He said, no, I think I can. And he worked. He went to the skate park every day, and he practiced and he tried, and he pulled off a full backflip in his wheelchair. Since then, he set his goal to do a double backflip. And that's the other thing about goals. Once you need to set your goals really high, then when you achieve them, set them way out. Set them, the successful people all around the world, they say, oh, I'm going to be a billionaire, I'm going to be this, and they believe it, and they go and do it. So set them way out there, and if you set them too low and you achieve it, set another one even further out. And that's what Aaron did. He's done a double backflip. He got like a big rubber band and hooked up to his wheelchair to get the speed that he needed and the ramp, and did the full double backflip. He's since done a full front flip. Anyone that rides BMX or watches that sort of stuff will know how hard it is to do a front flip. Aaron's job now, he tours with Nitro Circus as part of their crazy, jumping through firing hoops and stuff like that. It's like, what a crazy thing to do. So belief is really important. You're blocked away. If you don't believe something is possible, you will get really creative and find ways to prove that it's not possible. That's how it works too. So I think what's Henry Ford said, if you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. And we're always right. I know I'm always right. And I tell myself that that's the next key. It's all about how you talk to yourself, your belief. If you tell yourself you can't do something, you'll never do it. It doesn't matter how hard you try. I smoked for 30 years, and all that time I was a smoker, but I couldn't give it up because I told myself I couldn't give it up. When I told myself I wasn't a smoker, I changed. I never had another cigarette. And that's how your self-talk works. There are 3 different levels of self-talk. The first one is called negative resignation. That's where you tell yourself, I can't do something. That's where I told myself, I can't give up smoking. I can't do this or I won't do that. I'll never be a qualified occupational therapist. If you told yourself that 4 years ago, you would be doing something else now. You wouldn't be graduating. That's how it works. The second level of self-talk is called recognition. That's where you know you have something that needs changing, but you've got no intent to change it. Yeah, I wish I could give up smoking. But yeah, not today, I'm too busy today. I've got too much stress. I'll do it one day. Like, I know I need to give up smoking, but yeah, not today. Not today. I can't do it. You want someone else to fix your problem for you. You want Lotto. You want, yeah, if only I want Lotto, I could do that. I can have my big mansion in the country, and I can have my private jet when I win Lotto. You put conditions on it. You know, that kind of self-talk is just going to keep you where you are. The next level, and the level that I use to stop smoking, is a vow to change. When you make a vow to yourself, most times you keep that. And I think to myself, I don't smoke. And I never had another cigarette, and I stayed with that vow. Vows are a little bit tricky too, because sometimes we don't keep our word to ourselves as well as we would keep it to someone else. If you made a vow to one of your friends and said, I'll come and meet you for lunch at this time on this day, or even something, a bigger commitment, that I'll look after your kids for you, or I'll do that for you, you really make sure that you follow through on what you've said. We don't do it for ourselves. We make vows and we tell ourselves things all the time, but we don't follow through. And my question, if you're doing that kind of thing, is what makes you less worthy of your word than someone else? Why can you give your word to someone else and keep it, but when you give it to yourself, it's, it doesn't really matter. I don't have to do that. It matters. You're the most worthy person in the world. You are the most worthy person in the world. There is no one on this planet more worthy than you are right now. So I really want to stress that. The third level of self-talk is the one that you need to get to, and it's called replacement pictures. This is where when you say to yourself, instead of what you're not going to do, you tell yourself what you are going to do. And I told myself, I feel so good now that I don't smoke. No, I gave myself a replacement picture. I gave myself, otherwise I would have just gone back to my old goal that was smoking cigarettes. But I gave myself a new picture. I said, okay, my new goal is I'm going to love to smoke. I'm going to love getting to the airport on time and not have to get there half an hour early so I can have my smoke in the car park. It's so liberating once you get to those sort of things. I want to just speak briefly. I don't know how I'm going for time. Getting close? Okay. Last thing. I want to talk about the self-fulfilling prophecy. When you tell yourself how something is going to be, that's all you see. It's like you get tunnel vision. So you say, oh, today's going to be a real shitty day. And you go out and you find things that make today shitty. You do. You tell yourself it's a good day, and you find the good things. The shitty things still happen, but you're not looking for them. So, oh, that's not the good thing. Where's the good thing? They're at Woolcourt. Between my house and work, there's 21 sets of traffic lights. Some days when I'm in a hurry to get to work, I get every red light. No, I don't. I've counted them. The most I've ever got is 8. The most red lights out of 21 is 8. But it seems like you see the red lights. So, oh, I'm in a hurry, and the light changes red. You don't see the 5 green ones, you've already gone through what's going on. So you don't see the green lights, and it's the same. Your friend or your partner says, oh, come to this party with me. And you know, I have friends. They say, oh, I'll go, but I'm not going to have a good time. So as soon as you get there, oh, there's that one guy. You know, you stuff it up for everyone, but you're looking for it. You don't see all your other friends are there too. Oh, there's George. Oh, this is going to be a good party. You don't see it. You see what you're looking for, and that's... Anyone ever lost your car keys? Running around the house, looking for your car keys, and you're saying to yourself, I can't find my car keys. And your friend comes in and picks them and says, what's going on? You say, I can't find my car keys. I walk over to the coffee table and say, is this in here? I looked there, but I didn't see it. You didn't look there, but you blocked it out. You were telling yourself you can't find it. So you're finding evidence to back that up. I just want to very quickly talk about the last slide. I believe that life is not about what you have done, it's about what you're going to do. And I really think that, you know, when you're where you are right now in life, it is all about what you've done. I work in the spinal unit, and people they've all got stories. Everyone's got a story about how they had their injury. And I go home of an afternoon and talk to my wife about different people, what I was talking about. And the first thing she says is how they had their injury. I don't know. It's not important. It's not important to me. That's why I said I don't know what my injury level is, 5 or 6 or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. That's just a label. What's important is what you're going to do with the ability that you have. And you guys have so much potential. So let's make your life about what you're going to do, not what you have done. Thank you.